All right, so we've finished Salesforce platform basics. Now we're going ahead to the next one, data modeling. So we are going to take our time to understand data modeling because this will be the basic and foundation for you to know everything else about Salesforce is built upon this data modeling, which is starting with objects and fields, and that's pretty much it. And so I want to take my time explaining and making sure you guys understand what is an object, what are fields, what are custom object and standard objects, what do they do. So let's dig into it, okay? Let's go ahead and get into this trail. So understand custom and standard objects. So on the Salesforce Trailhead itself, it's trying to explain it in a more technical way, which might be a bit more confusing if you are like a 5th grade elementary student. So I'm trying to cover the whole Trailheads so it's easy to understand by anybody, including like grade 5, grade 4 students who know less about spreadsheets, tables, databases. So all this explanation is good if you're a college student or even at least 12th grade who has experience using spreadsheets, Excels, and so on. But if you have never used those kind of stuff, let me try to explain it in a bit simpler way. I'm going to pull up my Microsoft Word and we're going to do some typing. So basically, an object is a container where you actually decide what information do you want to collect, what information do you want to know. It can be anything. So an object can be a person, like a human, for example, a student. Student can be an object, okay? Another example, a teacher can be an object. Another example, a star can be an object. What star? Oh, movie star can be an object. Or a literal star, planet star, you know? Planets can be an object. Cars or what? Animals, pets can be an object, right? Or it can be something that you don't actually touch or see. For example, ranks, right? Well, you don't see ranks like military ranks, right? Like a general, a colonel, a captain, a soldier, a sergeant, and that's a military rank, or a police rank. What else? Like orders. When you buy something, you know, from a store, you take an order. So you buy something, that's orders. Or shipment, right? If you're shipping something, well, it can be anything you want to collect. For any information you want to collect into your Salesforce platform. So you know more about that object. So let's do a few examples. Back to the student example. If the object is the student, this is the object, okay? So you define what information you want to collect about the student. So these are the fields. It's called the fields. It's like a form field. You know, if you fill out a form, when you sign up for something online, you should fill up a form, right? So for example, what are the student name, right? Or maybe first name, last name, age, date of birth, what height, weight, and so on and so forth, okay? What about if it's a or what, an animal? This is the object, right? And what information do you want to collect about the animal? Well, what kind of an animal is it? Is it a dog? Is it a cat, right? What breed? Is it a golden retriever? Is it a chihuahua? Is it a German shepherd? Is it I don't know the types of cat available out there. What is it a female or a male? Cats or dogs, and so on and so forth. And for example, another object is a what? A school object, right? School can be an object. This is the object, right? So what information do you want to collect about the school? Address maybe? What grade they have available? Is it kindergarten to grade 12? And how many classes? State or province, and so on and so forth. Let's do one more example. Let's do about what? Cookies, right? Is the object. Okay, and let's do what's the flavor of the cookie? What information do you want to put for the cookies? Who made the cookie baker? And then when were the cookies baked, right? And so on and so forth. So I think you get the idea, right? So an object here, the object, let me delete this. The object can be anything you want to know about. So you define the object. So we've gone through that, right? So if I go back to the Trailhead here, so Salesforce have what they call a standard objects and a custom object. So a standard object, it's something that's already in Salesforce. So you don't have to define it or create it because it's in Salesforce. Why is it already in Salesforce? Because most companies or organizations use this type of objects regularly. Like by standard, they want to use this kind of objects. Let me show you. I'm going to scroll down here and launch our Trailhead playground. I'm going to hit that to launch it. And let's browse through the standard objects that Salesforce have, okay? So, for example, if I go to setup, this is where the objects are defined and created. I'm going to pop up the setup page. Here, you see Object Manager. So these are the standard objects, and you can create new objects, whatever you want to know about, like we talked before, right? So these are the standard objects that most companies or organizations use, which is I'm just gonna mention a few. Accounts, standard contacts is a standard object, campaign, cases here, case, and lead, opportunity, and stuff like that. They have quite a few. Now, student here is the custom object we've created in the previous module, remember? And this is the student __ C, which is the object API name. I've mentioned about API as well in the previous module a bit. We'll dig into that more. So, if I click on or into one of these objects, for example, I'm going to click the contact object, which is the standard Salesforce object. We're going to see what information is available to be collected, okay? Fields and relationships. So we have this information are available to be collected all this information, email, the contact email, fax number, and whatever you want to add, you can add more. So for example, a contact is a person, right? A contact is a person. It's maybe your friends or your teacher can be a contact, and or anything or anyone you want to define as a contact. For example, you want to know more about a particular person. For example, what do you want to know about a person? What are their hobbies, right? I'm going to make a new field here. And what are their hobbies? So we want to collect that information. So because we want to collect hobbies, we can just allow them to type in their hobbies. So I'm going to make a text area so they can type in freely, okay? So I'm going to hit next here. And I'm going to type hobbies, the name of the field. And what do you like to do every day? Something like that, okay? So I'm gonna leave the remaining as it is right now. So this is actually showing who can see this new field. We'll talk about that later. I'm going to check everybody can see it for now and hit next. And which page layout is it going to be displayed on? We're going to talk about that later as well. I'm going to put on all the page layouts right now and hit save. So we just created a new custom field called hobby. Why did we create that? Because we want to collect that particular information, right? So for example, now we can create new contact record, and we can type in the hobby of that person. So for example, if I click here and I type contact, now we are going into the object container, which is the contact object. That's how you do that. And we have no contact for now. I'm going to create a new one here, new contact. And see, I'm going to put my name, or let's make a made up contact, John Doe. See, we can collect all this information, the birth date and so on and so forth, right? And we just added hobby, right? What is my hobby? What is John Doe's hobby? He likes pets, maybe. Or he likes Lego. Or he likes games, particularly Minecraft. And that is the custom field we just created, right? So if we hit save here, so we have that information collected. So now if I close this and I go to the details, this is the contact, John Doe. We just created John Doe. If we hit details tab here, see, we have the hobby, right? So whatever information you want to collect on whatever object, you can define. So you are the boss. You decide what kind of information you want to collect, you want to get. If it's a pet, you can make a pet object, right? And what is the name of the pet? Snoopy or Garfield, or is it a cat or a dog? You can define. Oh, what is the type or the kind? Is a dog or a cat? What is the color of the dog? Who owns it? And then you can associate the owner to a contact. Oh, John Doe owns Garfield. So you can design however you want to design on how to link each record or object to another record. I hope that makes sense so far. Let's go back here to the Trailhead and see what else do we want to cover, okay? So we've talked about the standard and custom object. What are the standard object again? Come on, you should remember. The standard object are the object that comes with Salesforce, the one you did not create, but Salesforce created it for you. So let me go back here. If I go to setup again and object manager, so account is a standard object. You did not create account, it's already there, right? Case, contact. So these are standard objects that most organizations use. Therefore, Salesforce already predefine it for them and for us. So we don't have to take our time to create these standard objects that most people need. So they created it for us and we can just use it and add more custom fields. Does that make sense? So that's a standard object. What is a custom object? A custom object is the one you define. Like I told you before in here, you decide what kind of object you want, right? What, a chocolate, a school, a car, whatever, an animal, a student, a teacher, anything you want to know about, you can just create a custom object. Do you remember that? Yeah. So go back here. So we covered standard objects and custom objects, right? So custom is the one you decide, you define what you want to collect. Standard are the ones Salesforce already predefined. They've created that for you. You got that? Standard comes from Salesforce. Custom comes from you. You are the creator. You are the master, the boss. You decide what you want to collect. That is custom object. So let's go through here. Create a custom object. Okay. It's basically telling us what to do, the steps that I just shown you. So let's save some time. So it asks us to create a property object with a plural label properties. So practice made perfect. We're gonna do it again. Let's do it together. I'm gonna go here. So we are on the setup. Remember, setup. Click that first. You're gonna see this. And you are on object manager. Create a new object by clicking here. Create custom object. Okay. So properties, right? What else do we want to do? And just hit save, right? It says to hit save. So that's it. That's how you create an object. Now you have an object called property. Right? Property is, for you that doesn't really know it, it's kind of buildings or lands or houses, or yeah, that they are called properties, right? Now when you create a new custom object, these are the fields that comes from Salesforce. Who created it, who last modified, the owner of the record, and the property name. Okay, name is standard. All objects have to have a name. So that's what we did. Okay, that then now get to know about fields. Fields are that information we want to collect that I've explained before, like the student name, the age, the height, the weight, and so on. Okay. Now field type. What are field type? Identity. Identity is a record ID or identity that looks like this. So let me show you. For example, if I go back here, John Doe, see? If you see at the top of the URL here on the browser, this is the record ID. This is the record ID or the system ID, as they say. All Salesforce records have its own unique record ID. So everything you created in Salesforce has a different record ID. For example, if I create a new contact again, okay, I go back here and add new contact, and now I'm going to create Jane Doe. And her hobby is painting. I'm going to save Jane Doe. Now we have Jane Doe, right? Jane Doe has a different record ID then John Doe. Okay, so this is a record or system ID. Every record has its own ID there. Oh, that's the identity field type. System fields are the created date, last modified, and last modified date. This is a system information. When you create a new record, it's gonna have this system information on the record. For example, Jane Doe. If I go to details here, scroll down a bit, see who created Jane Doe. Oh, Jimmy created it. When? This time, right? Who modified it? Oh, another it's still me, still Jimmy. And when? It's that time, right? That's system field. Name is the name. Custom is the custom field. Any custom field we created, like hobby is the custom field. Name is the name field, which is the name of the person, Jane Doe. Okay, that's basically it. And let's check. So every field has a data type. See, checkbox, date or time, formula. So when you create a new field, so for example, what else do you want to know about a contact? I'm going to go ahead to my setup here, object manager, but now I'm going to change to a contact. Okay, the contact object here. So say I want to collect a new information. It's under fields and relationships, and I want to create a new field about a person. What do you know? What do you want to know about a person? What do we want to know about a person? Let's do pick list. A pick list. Oh, so these are the field types that are available for you to create, right? We're gonna go through this, or we don't have to go through this. You can just read the explanation on the right here. Let me crank this up a bit. It's too tiny, huh? So you can see better there. And so for this example, I'm going to create a new pick list, so you can have all this field type. It can be a text area, text area long, text area rich, which can have formatted like bold text and color text, stuff like that, and phone and pick list and percent and number, and you can just see what that means on the right side here. Okay, so for this example, I'm going to create a pick list here, a pick list, and so a new information that we want to collect, which is a pick list. So let me think, what is an example? Favorite sport. Okay, not a hobby, but a favorite sport. What is the favorite sport of the person? Okay, next. So I'm going to type the field label as favorite sport. Okay, we'll talk about this later. I'm gonna enter values. What's the available values for the favorite sport? You can choose biking, swimming with a 2M, of course, hiking, running, favorite sport, martial art. What else can you do? Soccer, badminton, cricket, football, baseball, basketball, all the balls, basketballs. All right. So let's just hit next and make everybody can see it visible. Next and save. Okay, so let me crank this back a little bit so it's not looking too cluttered. Now if I want to go back to John Doe and edit John or Jane Doe, right? Now, as you can see, we have a new field called favorite sport. Look at that. It's a pick list. Pretty cool, right? So Jane likes to play soccer. So her favorite sport is soccer, and save. Okay. So that's how you create custom field. What information you want to collect for you or for your organization. Okay. So those are the types of fields you can collect. Create a custom field, which we actually just did. So I'm going to skip this, otherwise this video is going to go very long. Create a record, we did that, right? Jane Doe, John Doe, remember? So customize responsibly. Please think it very well before you create objects or fields. Think it very well, like, is this the information I really want to collect, that I really want to get? Or maybe is it better if I ask it a different way? Or, think it thoroughly, think it very well. Then you decide, oh, okay, let's make this field, okay? And then give thoughtful, information about the question, like the field name. So the one who's filling out the information, your users, so to speak, is not confused by the question of, oh, what information do you want? I'm not really sure here. So don't make them confused, okay? So I'm going to go and cut this video until this part, and we're going to do the challenge together on the next video. So not so bad, right? So this is pretty much the basic of Salesforce. Once you get this right, all the other stuff should be not hard at all. It should be very easy. And let's go through the next one. The next one is the challenge. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.